Radical. I don't know if you can see it, but we got a bird up there. You're choosing not to fly around. Welcome to Flea Market Stories, where I go into my journey into the world of flea marketing. That little video clip you saw there, I don't know if you could see the bird, but it was a bird that got stuck up there. I thought that was interesting, so I recorded it. Okay, one thing I left out of the last flea market story, where I'm talking about the incredibly cold winds, was one thing I had to do. I took something I was selling because it just wasn't going to sell that day, which was a long box, a 3-in-1 kind of play set, basketball, soccer, baseball, for kids. I got that, and I tilted it sideways, and I used it as a windshield. Like literally like a shield to shield myself and some stuff from some wind. It was interesting. Interesting, to say the least. But going into this day, this was a very interesting day, a groundbreaking day, you might say, where I was a little late, as usual, and I didn't reserve a table. And they said, we really don't have anything on the line you're usually on, but we could probably do something for you over here. And then she motioned to somebody like, hey, do you have a white table you could set up real quick over there? I guess somebody wasn't going to go to that spot. It was a reserved spot. Maybe they called in or whatnot. It wasn't a cold day that day. It was the first day of spring. It's a glorious day. So, we got situations sometimes they say where somebody calls in and their table goes to somebody else. Only this was not a table, my friends. This was an actual separated booth. This was a different place. And immediately I was told that it's a whole different world. I was like, I don't know what you mean by like a whole different world. Well, these sections are sectioned off, and you literally feel like it's kind of a store because, you got walls there and the parking set up. It's a little bit easier to get in and out of. You're more like separated. This is a $20 table. You move up from a $15 table to a $20 table. And instantly I was thinking, okay, I'm going to get me some sales here. Because I was told it was a whole new world. Well, spoiler alert, this is actually my worst flea marketing day in sales. Even worse than the day that was really coldy and windy. And I don't understand it. The ingredients were there. I'm at a arguably better spot. I'm in a booth. It's the first day of spring. It's sunny. It's not cold. But I actually didn't even sell $20 worth of stuff, which was really a big shocker to me. It was a big shocker. And I was using a new tri-table design that I had actually perfected. I might have a standalone where I talk about and show my tri-table design. But yeah, just sales-wise, it was not a good day. And because of that, I left a little bit early because I felt like, the sales are really not going to be here today. So I left early. I wound up, possibly breaking even, but it was an interesting experience. And that's a big part of why I'm doing this and going on this flea marketing journey is the experience of this and learning things about sales. There was one interesting moment, and I went to the bathroom before I left. One interesting moment to where there were so few people coming by, I literally went into my car and I had a green tea jug. And I actually, I pissed in the back of the car into the jug. Yeah. I locked the doors there. There's a lot of room in the back of the Mighty Impala, and I took the seat out. So I was just laughing like, hey, geez, I hope no one catches me with my donger out here, But I had to. You know why I had to do that? Because there's no one else there. I didn't have my buddy with me there to watch the table. And these are all different people in this location. I don't trust any of these regulars here. So, yeah, it's what you got to do. You got to protect your table and, I had my held I had my head held up looking as I'm pissing. I'm like looking out of the back just to kind of make sure no one's taking anything off the table, whatnot. Let's see some of the sales. There was two women and a guy that came by and they bought some whatnots, maybe some porcelain figurines. There was a guy that bought. What did he buy? I think he bought a PlayStation 2 game. He bought. It was the Need for Speed Most Wanted. And he said he had the 360 version, but he had the PS2 and he just wanted to see how the PS2 version looked. So I gave it to him for 5. And I guess I was trained so I was the idea was I was selling it for 5, but I'm asking 6. That's one thing I learned. You ask for a little bit more than what you're selling it for. And he said, no, I mean, I'll pay the full price. And I was like, nah, nah, man, thanks for coming by. It's not a. I was honest with him. I'm like, it's not a great sales day, oddly, but I appreciate the business, right? And as time goes on, I'm starting to see some of the same people. So basically, one big plus is you're getting people deals and they appreciate it. Otherwise, they would pay more on eBay or pay more in stores or whatnot for the games, for magazines, for whatnot. And that's one part of the joy I found is actually being able to give people good deals on things. And the magazines, I didn't sell any magazines, but this is the first time I actually featured the magazines prominently to the right. The very first time. And it looked really great. I don't have a picture, but the setup looked really great. And there was a guy that came by and he was looking at some of the magazines and he was a big fan of Bob Dylan. And I had a Bob Dylan magazine, but it says a lot that a guy that's a big fan of Bob Dylan wasn't really into the Bob Dylan magazines. Now, there was a guy that bought, the guy that bought the games, or there was another guy that bought or was interested in gaming magazines. I saw him a week later. Well, I can't really spoil, the next week's show off Saturday. But he asked me about gaming magazines. So then I start thinking, okay, am I willing to part with some of my large collection of gaming magazines? And mostly, to be honest, I mostly look through the gaming magazines when I'm doing like my magazine, reads on show off Saturdays. So there's that. See, so I talked about the urinating in the back of the car, and I talked about this being a different booth, a different setup. I don't have any idea of why this prime location got less sales. Because my stuff was laid out pretty good. Could just been an unlucky day. My thinking on it is this. It is a booth, but it's far away from the concessions. It's very far away from the concessions. I mean, really, honestly, I can't figure it out. I mean, I could probably go to that same booth, make a couple hundred next week. But I don't want to like risk it paying $20. One thing that was very interesting though was there were people, I call them the vultures, the scavengers, the people that walk by your table early on and you think they're just customers or whatnot, but no, they're people looking to get things off of your table and sell them on their table, which I guess it's okay, but it is what it is. I'm able to call them vultures and scavengers. And there was this one woman, it might have been two women that walked by, and they noticed that maybe it wasn't the regular person at the booth. Maybe some people reserve those booths, and they said, oh, okay, so you're new here. Kind of like, okay, you're going to be at this booth. So I get that, I understand that they're just like looking around going like, oh, there's a new guy at that table, okay. The pot man, not a guy that smokes pot, but there was this one fella, and he bought all my pots. One of the strangest things, one of the shockers here was one of my biggest selling items on this day and in the future. Again, I don't want to give away future show off Saturdays. That already happened, but they're still in the future. Pots are very popular. Well, at the price I'm selling them, yeah, they're quite popular. $1. $1 a pot. But here's the deal with these pots. It's just pots that I found places. I just found pots places. I just found them. I won't go into the places that I found the pots. They're not in good condition. I cleaned them up real good using a product I'm going to do a full review of in the future on a show off Saturday. I cleaned them up. Still, some of them had scratches. They weren't looking that great. But this guy, I think he bought all my pots. And then I had some pans. And then a woman came by earlier and she bought the pans. So I didn't sell any plates. They were in the same container, but I sold the pots and I sold the pans. And I realized, man, if I could find more places to find like old dirty pots and pans that people throw out because maybe some of the coating might have come off a little bit, I'd be in the money. I'd be in the money. So watch out. I might start dumpster diving for pots and pans. Like I'm dead serious. People couldn't get enough of these pots and pans. Had a beautiful, beautiful table full of shiny, shiny Xbox One games. People didn't care. They wanted the pots and the pans.